Randy talked about income gaps and income cliffs. Well, now it's time to show the client the income gaps and income cliffs. So one thing that I was talking with Randy here, hold on, get this here, there we go, is, come on, there we go, is he talked about, now we're transitioning the client, right? Now we talked about, we have that agenda, which I absolutely love, Randy. I loved your agenda. So at Simplicity Minneapolis First Income Advisors, we talk about a lot about agendas, and we talk a lot about now that we're going to do the income plan. There's three things we're going to have for them when they come back. We're going to have an agenda to cover the talking points we're going to talk about now, but then we have an asset summary. So what you're seeing here on the screen right now is an asset summary. So we take all the data form that Randy has used, and you guys collect the information, and now we put on one sheet. And this is the one thing that we actually give them when they come back for this next income conversation, because it's amazing how many people don't know what their net worth is. And so if you could show it to them in one sheet, that's the one thing they actually ran, our founder, Mike Strank, and I'd say Randy like to get back to them is this asset summary so they know exactly what the net worth is. Okay. Now, one thing I want to talk about is transitioning to that income conversation. So Randy always likes to say, would you like to see your numbers? Right? I got some ideas and some things I want to show you. And we do this thing called an income for life report. And one thing I would do, and I'll pull up here super quick, is I would show an example. I guess I can do it here.
This is the same example you show every time.
It's same example every single time. So it's not complicated. It's just a simple case. And I'll just pull it up here super quick. Is that I say what I'm going to do next is my team and I are going to run an assessment. Now that we have Bob and Sally. They're very popular at Simplicity Minneapolis. But this is not your numbers, but this is a client that I changed the names. But what we're going to do is we're going to put all your income on one easy to read page. We're going to show you exactly what your retirement income is. We're going to show you what is strictly based on guarantees. No maybes, no nothing else. And we're going to see, have you hit your number? Or remember we talked about gaps. We're going to see, do you have a gap? These guys, for example, they're at $7,000 a month and they wanted $9,000. So they have a $2,000 a month income gap. The next thing I'll show you is respectfully, when you come back, is what is your cliff? And so, for example, for these guys, when we showed them their cliff, and the cliff is, remember we talked about that's what happens when somebody dies. And so in this case, when Bob passed away, Sally's income went down by $40,000. I'll make it a little bigger. Whoops, a little too much. Sorry, guys. Went down by $40,000. Well, that's a huge cliff, right? So I'm going to show them an example, what I'm going to do for them when they come back. So since you want to see your numbers, so I put together a scripting for you guys that I thought that'd be helpful to go through on kind of how to make that income transition. And so this is kind of for the back end sale. I'm going to kind of read this a little bit. But so now that we have your trust, the next step is we help our clients with is how to properly fund your trust. And so the one way that we do that is our clients really love is we help them with retirement income planning. We put together an income for life report. It's a simple one-page report that shows you exactly what your income will be in retirement, when to take Social Security, how long your money will last. Well, have you hit your number? Do you have a gap? It also shows you respectfully, what is your cliff? What happens to your income when your spouse passes? Here's an example of what it looks like. And then I would show up the example just like what I just showed you now, right? And then that question is, would you like to see your numbers? And now most people are going to say yes, right, Randy? They're going to say yes. And so great. I just would like to ask you a few more additional questions so I could put together your report. So because you have that relationship now, right, with the trust, you have a lot of the information already. but sometimes you need to have some more details to come back to somebody like myself to actually figure out what those numbers be. So here's just some questions that you can ask. When would you like to retire? If I could wave a magic wand, would you retire sooner? What if I could put you in a position where you could retire now? Or how about if you're in control, you walk away when you want to? Would you like that? What is your biggest concern or question you have about retirement right now? On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your pension-like income right now? And what I'm getting to with all these questions as I go through these, I really want to find out two things. How much income do they need? Which is how much income they need to pay the bills, right? And the other thing is, how much income do you want? And that's where do you want to go and where do you, so we'll get into that in a second. So, how much income do you need to pay the bills, right? How much income do you want in retirement to do the things you dreamed of doing? Where do you want to go? Who do you want to see? How often do you want to do that? What's important to you, right? I kind of like this one. I think this is something to kind of get them thinking, 5 years into retirement, what are your bucket list things that you want to do? How much income would you need in order to do those things? Because there's a lot of people that, and we talked about this earlier, Tony, they saved a lot, and maybe sometimes they don't really know how much they want. A lot of times people, I made $300,000 a year, but I only need 5 when I retire. No, sorry. Sorry, shouldn't have said that. It's recorded, dang it. No, the point is this, is that sometimes you have to back into what they really want to do. Sometimes people have $1 million, $2 million, and they're scared to spend it, but they don't want to run out. It's like a mentality, right? And so if we can get and say, well, we'll get to a second here. So the next thing is, at this stage of your life, if we look at your retirement income, do you want your retirement income to be a sure thing or a maybe? Let me ask you a little different way. As we design your retirement income, would you want your retirement income to fluctuate? Or do you want it to be steady? I would literally use those motions. Sure thing or maybe, fluctuate or steady. I'm creating mental pictures in their mind when I do that, right? Because the biggest thing, back to what I was saying before, is that you're making $300,000 a year. They say you want 5. They're not going to sit at home and twiddle their thumbs. They've had things that they want to do. And so as you see with this report, you're going to see, we're going to show them how they can still spend money in retirement, do things they want to do, but never run out and still have money left over because they still want to leave money to the kids, right? But the big thing is you're going to see here is securing their income first, then more life insurance sales come into play, long-term care sales come into play, AUM sales come into play because they have their income solved, and that's the foundation. Okay. Here's another great question. If the market goes down 50%, bam, in retirement, you're in retirement, it goes down 50%. Would that be a problem? Lots of people are kind of, I don't want to say this, can't think of a better way, brainwashed or accustomed to the market always going up. Last couple of months have maybe brought them back to reality a little bit. But does the market always go up? Does it always cooperate? What if it goes down big when you just start retirement? And so what would you do? Would you have to go back to work? That's a great question to ask them. What would you do? Would you have to go back to work? This is a previous industry, and it's burned in my mind. Before I started with Splits Minneapolis First Income Advisors, I worked for a telecommunications company, and we got a new CEO, and he came back. It was around 2008, and he was retired, And he literally got in front of the company, he said, yeah, I came back to work because my 401k got cut in half. That's been burned in my mind forever. He was a 60-year-old guy. Do you think he wanted to go back to work? Do you think he wanted to spend time with his grandkids? No, he wanted to spend time with his grandkids, but he had to come back, right? We have to bring them back to balance. So here's another great question. As I run the assessment and I put together a plan for you and you absolutely love it. Let's say it's a 10 out of 10. And most likely we probably only be moving some of your money. Are you open to a change with your current advisor? You got to ask that question. We always talk one thing about firing the competing broker. Do they have another advisor? These are questions you want to ask up front, because if you don't, the vampire is going to come back and kill the sale, right? And you almost got to kill them again and again and again. Just like Randy, you talked about that case, right? You want to get that commitment ahead of time. So sure thing versus a maybe. And are you open to a change? And through this process, what we really find out is what is your income need and what does your income want? If we can find out, that's the biggest thing I find that producers don't do, is they don't ask enough questions in the first appointment. And if they don't ask enough questions in the first appointment, that's why they have problems in the second or third. Is because they don't really find out what is their real problem and what is their real want. Because what I'm going to show with the software in this case, I'm going to show them their problem with the software, and then I'm just going to show them how to fix their problem. I'm not selling them a product. I'm just making a diagnosis, right? So, really quick. So you guys can have this. It's my treat to you if you want it. But these are the simple questions that you can ask so that you can actually have that second conversation with them. So let's go back to Bob and Sally. There we go. So these guys, this is Bob and Sally. All right. They're actually supposed to be 65. You can say they have about $1.4 million of a basket cut, 1.5. I work a case like this every single week with my producers. There's people like this all over the place. And their number one concern is what? Running out of money, right? So these guys have about 1.5. They said they want 9. If we could retire them at $9,000 a month, they'd walk away. So how do we do that? As I go through this, we're going to protect about $342,000 of the 401k. We're going to protect about $250,000 of the IRA. As I go through this and show this in the software, each solution, all it is index annuity income rider. That's it. The index annuity income rider is the personal pension today. Most people don't have pensions. Pensions are went away. They all have 401ks and IRAs. The only way to create a guaranteed income for the rest of your life is an index annuity income rider. It's the highest guaranteed income out there. Okay. So let me kind of show you how our founder, Mike Steranka, would show this. So let's say they're coming back now and we're going to, hey, we ran your assessment and now I'm going to show you your numbers. So Bob, we ran your assessment and you guys said you wanted to retire right now. You wanted $9,000 a month. So how are we going to get there? Well, the first thing I want to show you is your present position. And that is your guaranteed income today. So first of all, Bob, here's your Social Security. Sally, here's your Social Security. Bob, here's your pension. If you retire right now, you have $84,000 a year or $7,000 a month. So you have a $2,000 a month income gap. Okay. The next thing I want to show you is respectfully, we talked about the cliff. What happens when you die? And how does that affect the remaining spouse? We talked about earlier, Bob, you're probably a little closer to the cliff than Sally, right? So I'm sorry, but I'm going to kill you first. Okay. So Sally,
You're a little closer to the cliff, aren't you?
you're a little closer to the cliff. So Bob, or I should say Sally, when Bob passes away, you lose $40,000 a year. And this is where I'd be quiet. I might just let them talk first. I might just look at the report, have this up on a big screen TV in your office.
A lot of times, the person who's in your office, they get up, stand up next to the screen and point it. So,
And I say, Sally, is that a problem? What is Sally gonna say? So Ray, you and Jose, this is you guys, and you see a big cliff, what are you gonna say? We need to fix it. Jose, come on, let's get something done here, huh?
solution aware,
Yep,
move up.
all right. So, next, what happens if Sally passes away first? Or we're gonna lose about $24,000. Okay? And I'd go back over here and I'd say, what happens when Bob passes? Well, pension gets cut in half. And how Social Security works is, doesn't matter whose is bigger. The smaller one drops off and the higher one stays. Doesn't matter who dies. That's why Sally loses $40,000 a year. So there's really two things running the assessment. We have this $40,000 a year income cliff and $2,000 a month income gap. I'm gonna notice how we repeat things a lot. If you repeat things, people, if you repeat it in the first appointment, gaps and cliffs, you repeat it in the conversation, gaps and cliffs, you show them gaps and cliffs, it starts to resonate in their mind, right? So we talked about the problem, the gap and cliffs. So if you want to say, Bob and Sally, that's the bad news, but here's the good news. My team and I ran an assessment. Bob, if we protect 342,000 of your 401k, we can create a personal pension. And the personal pension, in addition, are $2,000 a month. Guess what, Bob? Guess what, Sally? You can retire right now if you want to. $9,000 a month. And I want to explain this personal pension to you because it's actually even better than your company pension that you have. Here's why my clients like the personal pensions. That $24,000 a year, it's guaranteed for us at both your lives. Either you want to pass away, it still stays at $24,000. Second, I can turn this on whenever I want. Bob, if you still want to work, you still want to finish a project, go finish that project. The way these personal pensions work is every you wait to turn it on, it just gets higher. It's just like a Social Security. It's pretty sweet. Here's the third reason why my clients really like the personal pensions is because you still control the money. With the personal pension, let's say we do this today. Bam, you get hit by a bus tomorrow. The full 342,000 just goes to your kids. Okay. Let's say you use it for 10 years. You use 240,000. There's probably about 100,000 left over. Right? That 100, you both pass peacefully in your sleep. The 100,000 just goes to your kids. Pretty sweet. But they say if you're both 65, at least one of you today are gonna live into your 90s. Let's say you live a long time. Let's say you live at 95, 100, 105, who knows? This personal pension will still keep paying you even if the money runs out. It's pretty sweet. Now, so we protect the 342. You can walk away when you want. Pretty cool. Now let's keep going. It's getting better for Sally, right? Now she's at least $6,000 a month guaranteed. Here's a second option I think we could do. Let's say we protect 250,000 of Sally's IRA. We create a second personal pension. That does two things for you. Do you think eggs, milk, bread, taxes, do you think they're going to be higher in the future or lower? Most people say higher, right? What if you could turn on a personal pension whenever you wanted? Hey, I want to take another trip. Let's turn it on. Hey, you know what? Things are getting a little tight. Let's just turn it on. Pretty sweet, right? But what this really does, this can't scare Sally. So no matter what, Bob, Sally's taking care of. Okay. what the software does, and this is proprietary to Simplicity Minneapolis, the software. Again, we give this to you for free if you work with us. But the software, it shows them their gaps and cliffs. It shows them their problem. And all I'm doing is I'm showing them how to fix their problem. And have I talked about a bonus or an index or a free withdrawal, or let me tell you about this fancy index that this company made up? Have I talked about that? Nope. Hey, here's how you fix your problem. That simple. Questions? You had a question?
So these, I'm assuming these are pre-tax.
So it depends. You can use qualified or non-qualified money. It really depends. Because an income rider, you're not annuitizing, which is the whole point of you can still control the money, which people like. And so it depends on if it's qualified or non-qualified. Qualified, it's just like taking a distribution, just it's taxable. Non-qualified, any gains come out first. And so that is taxable once you hit the cost basis. Then it is mostly non-taxable except for index returns. And so it's tax-free mostly until the money runs out, then it's all taxable. Yeah. Yes.
When are they most attracted to this privilege? What's the mindset of this couple? When you start showing, before you show them this kind of mindset you want them to be.
Are you saying like what maybe age frame are you saying, or?
Yeah. So.
I would say that the ideal for this is 55 to 70. That's the most ideal, but definitely people above 70 though too. They're thinking a lot about their cliffs. And so you definitely have a lot of opportunity there. The personal pensions are really high right now. So, I mean, you can even go down to age 40, which is totally fine. But I would say 50 to 70 is like the ideal market, because they're thinking about retirement. They're concerned about the markets right now, right? Most people don't have a plan, right? And so they're looking for help, and this is just showing them the plan.
Mike, so this one, is there a target income that we're supposed to look at? For example, I knew several people, they make like literally $1 million a year, so guaranteed income for life, maybe something like this will not entice them as much, so like 25-30,000 a year, that's what we do for them. So is there a target income that would be attractive to this type of, a year income?
Great question. I wouldn't say income, I would say net worth, because I would say anybody over 10 million of net worth, investable assets, probably not annuity, is probably not the best choice for them. They don't really need it. But anybody has below 10 million, I mean, you have somebody that's 5 million, $6 million, making $1 million a year. They have a certain lifestyle. They want to maintain that lifestyle. And so we're doing $1 million, $2, $3 million annuities all the time for people just like that.
How would you think, we'll talk about like that income is $1 million.
Yes, but I'd have to ask more questions. Where are they getting the income? Is it eventually going to stop? You know,
Retire, then that can stop.
then it's going to stop. So how are they going to maintain their lifestyle? Because if they're making $1 million a year and they're working at a company, their guaranteed income is probably their Social Security. So they probably have a lot of money in their IRAs or non-qualified accounts. Well, we need to use those accounts to create personal pensions.
I think it's also, that question, the answer is don't know their health status.
They know to sign, they don't have any sense of their own, so that's the thing.
So I would encourage that person if they didn't have their own problem.
Long-term care is one that we can help with, but I don't know.
I would encourage them, if I thought that they had too much money, I would encourage them to look at, from a cost perspective, you can solve this problem with lower. And so, why have all your money tied up in there? They have take a small amount of money and secure the income you get out of it. It's like, it's just another way to approach it. I don't think there's, I can do this for me, but I don't think there's, anybody that would look at it, even if they have all the money in the world. If you say, I've got $1 million, I can spend on this, I might look at it and go, well, you don't need to. You know, maybe you only need $340,000. But it has to be designed. So they've got all that money, they're gonna list it.
Yeah, big thing is just, you know, work with your consultant to help you with each case, because each case is different. But even people who make a lot of money, they still want to maintain their lifestyle in retirement.
I approached this already, and then they said, well, you know, if we protect them like $2 million to get, you know, X number, $20,000, $30,000 a year, they can see the trade, the value of the trade is like that. That's why I was wondering, what do you call the best angle that we can approach them?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably more to the case than that.
Best angle is Monday, that knows that do all the proper investigation. There's no cut answer. You know, but if you go in and you know that person well enough in their family structure, you know their health structure, and you know what their goals are, you can by looking at them if they're 100% risk in the market, or maybe you have $2 million and only have $50. Okay, so do not make an offer to solve something you have not diagnosed properly. And if you diagnose it properly, the person that you're making the diagnosis with is going to be highly favorable for the accepting. But shot, if they don't believe it, you got another book later, don't you? If you do it right, the yes or no doesn't direct your life. And you can ask them why they said no. So we have to go to the next.
I think the biggest thing is, come back to here, this is just an opportunity, you know, for people to have, is that the transition is now that we have your trusts, we need to show you how to properly fund your trust. Yes, Tony?
Brought that back up. Where are you inserting that script? The overall presentation.
Would you say on the,
My script, wherever you need to, you just have to smell it, see it. Okay, this is where we go. Getting on the feedback. The people's gonna roll over and say, I agree with your diagnosis, I agree with the solution. And you don't have to do all that. But at the same time, if you're trying to push them into, getting product and purchase aware, you might have to eliminate this issue. You might have to add. So I don't think there's even one place to put it in.
I mean, maybe if it hasn't come up yet, maybe the when you deliver the trust.
Yeah.
That would, you know, if you need to force it, that'd be kind of the.
Right.
Cool. Any other questions?
How do you decide when to kill them off?
Great question.
What shows up on your screen?
Yep.
That's what I like to do. If it shows up, if I can get it all on one screen without.
I don't like to scroll down. That's really what it comes down to.
So I've been 8 or 9 years and say, sorry, 10 years from now, you've got.
Well, even if they're, it's just because I don't want to scroll down. The other thing is, I like to do it the same year, not necessarily the same age, because if they're different ages, I like to show the same year, because really all I'm showing is the Social Security dropping off, and I just need them to understand that cliff. And so even if they're like what the other example you were talking about, or I think I was working on one earlier, he's 66. He's 64. That's actually why I was out. I was helping a producer with an income for life report. He was 66, he was 64. And I said, let's do it the same year, not necessarily the same age. So they could see the income cliff with the Social Security and the pension. So.
You ever run the risk of, them hearing your presentation and saying, hey, can you give me a copy of that and let us think about it?
It's a great question. Ezra, great job. Yeah, as soon as you become a financial client, you can get this report. We put it in a personal financial inventory, but this is our proprietary software.
Does that mean that once they buy into your plan or your solution already.
Yeah.
That's what you give them, right?
Yeah, as so it will go in your personal financial inventory as soon as you become a financial client.
Because I have the same people ask a question
Yeah.
before, but I remember might say, no, don't give them, because they go give to somebody.
Yep.
Comparison. It's like,
And
oh,
so,
you're
great
right.
question. But as soon as they become financial client, if they're a state client, as soon as they become a financial client, yes.
At least two occasions so far where I did the way I'm supposed to do it and not did. And they came back to me. In other words, they were gonna bring my thing over to somebody else.
Mhm.
And they wrote, I said, well, why do you need it? They're like, well, I stopped at the other guy. Well, why don't you bring this stuff over here? I'll let you know. And they did, and I got the deal. Had I given them the thing.
Yep.
It's just like kind of a great example of kind of coaching. Felicity that they put you like 20 steps ahead all the time. And it's phenomenal. Love it.
So yeah, the biggest thing is this is our proprietary software.
Yeah.
And so as soon as you become a client, it'll,
Steve. Gonna understand it. Gonna understand that they're talking about income not tied to assets. The only way to replace that income not tied to assets is with income from it. Because once they die, it's gone. So they have to kind of make a decision. Do I want to lose that income? Or what happens to me if I lose that?
You say when they die, it's gone. What do you refer to, social security income?
The income not tied to assets. Not always, but Social Security, the lower is gonna go away. I mean, it's gonna go away.
At least, you know, you got at least lose at least social security and not the pension. What happened? So a lot of times it's a double. And, which is pretty tight.
Why do we call it quick? Quick.
Quick and sharp.
So if you got $112,000 and then all of a sudden you wake up and you got $60,000. That's a quick. You know,
Randy, how many are majority of your sales cliffs or gaps?
Talk to me.
Yeah,
Mostly are for this.
I know yours are mostly cliffs.
I'm doing something in future sales. Okay, and I'm teaching my newer licensees to make the front end and the back end. But, you know, once you get 200 or 250 or 300 trucks in force, somebody's gonna be dying or making decisions like that.
I would say the 55 to 65 years old, you're solving more of the gaps first.
Yeah.
But if you got the 73 or older, you're more solving cliffs first.
My sorrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, the guy getting ready to retire is gonna wanna know, no health questions, they're gonna wanna know how to fix the gap. But if mom knows that dad's getting ready to retire and he's also got lots of health problems, the gap in the cliff may come soon. Yeah, or
Mhm.
maybe 6 months after the gap. That's why you identify, hey, Tony, you're a little closer, but why, aren't you? Really talking to you, why? Just going the best me,
Or they'll tell you, that just happened to my parents.
Yeah.
The young one, tell you, that just happened to my mom. She's struggling right now. Like, what do you want? Fix this for you?
All right.